Section 5.2, costs of production. A basic question for business owners is how many workers to hire. The marginal product of labor is the change in output from hiring one more worker. For example, if you're in a factory, you have one worker and he produces 4 of your product per hour. You hire another worker and he's going to produce 6 of your products per hour. And this is because of specialization. Specialization increases your marginal returns. With more workers, you can have one specific task to get good at. More products being made equals more per hour. More products being made per hour equals increasing marginal returns. Hiring one more worker increases the marginal product of labor only to a certain point. Time waiting increases because there are only a certain number of tasks that can happen. So, for example, in a clothing factory, if there's one sewing machine and you have to cut the fabric before you sew it, you have one worker and he's cutting the fabric and then he goes and sews it, and it takes about 6 hours to make that thing. If you hire another worker, he'll cut the fabric and the other one will sew it, and it takes about 3 hours. And so you hire another worker, and since you only have one sewing machine, the other one's cutting fabric, well, the fabric just keeps piling up, so he's not increasing your product because the time to sew it still takes the same amount of time. So he didn't help at all. So hiring that extra worker is just decreasing your profits because you have to pay him for doing nothing. Too many workers equals diminishing marginal returns and can sometimes have negative marginal returns. Businesses have fixed costs. Fixed costs are costs that do not change no matter how much of a good is produced. For example, rent. You're going to have to pay that every month no matter if your business is open or closed. You have to pay that. Your variable costs are costs that rise or fall depending on the quantity produced. For example, your materials to make your product, and you're paying people to make it. So those can change depending on how many people you hire, how many products you're producing, and your total cost is your fixed cost plus your variable cost. Your marginal cost is the additional cost of producing one more unit. Your marginal revenue is additional income from selling one more unit of a good. So your price, and if you sell more of them, you're obviously going to make more money. Operating cost is the cost of operating the facility. This includes the variable cost, but not the fixed cost, which would have to be paid whether it was open or closed. So the rent, you still have to pay for it even if nobody's working in your factory. Get out your chapter 5.2 review and go to the chart, and we're going to do the first 3 together. So to get your fixed cost, it's $35 because that's the rent they're paying, or that's what they have to pay no matter what. So even if they have 0, they have to pay that. Your variable cost is 0 because they haven't done any oil changes. So your total cost from that is going to be your variable cost plus your fixed cost, which is $35. Your marginal cost is going to be 0. And your marginal revenue would have been 20, but they didn't have any oil changes, so that they aren't going to be making anything from that. So their total revenue is 0. So their profit is going to be negative 35 because they had to pay $35 for rent, even though they didn't do an oil change. For the first one, they did one oil change, so their fixed cost is going to remain the same, so it'll be $35, which that's already filled in on your chart. Your variable cost is going to be $11, so that's how much it costs them to do that. Their total cost is going to be $35 plus $11, which is going to equal $46, which is also already filled in your review. Your marginal cost is going to be $11. And your marginal revenue is still going to be $20 because that's what they're selling them for. And so your total revenue is going to equal $20 because they made $20 from it. So they did one oil change. So their profit is going to be negative $26. And the way you get your profit is your total revenue minus your total cost. So for the third one, their fixed cost is still going to remain, or the second one, they're going to remain the same. Your variable cost is going to be $20 now. Your total cost is going to be $55 now. And your marginal cost this time is going to be $9 because last time it was $46 and this time it's $55. So 55 minus 46 is going to be 9. It's the difference between them. Your marginal revenue is still going to be $20 because that's what they're selling it for. So then your profit from that is going to be $40 because they did 2 oil changes for $20. And your profit is going to be negative 15 this time. for your third one, it's still going to be $35 over here. Your variable cost this time is going to be $24. Your total cost is going to be $59. So your marginal cost this time is going to be $4 because 59 minus 55 equals 4. Your marginal revenue is still going to be 20. Your total revenue is going to be 60 this time because they did 3 oil changes. And your profit this time is going to be $1. And then you have your book questions that you need to have done, and they're right there. So.
All right, now on your review still, as you guys continue to make your way down the chart, where marginal revenue and marginal costs get, again, we don't ever want our marginal cost to be greater than marginal revenue. That means you are literally losing money to every other one that you make. So if you are going to be a business owner, this math is not simple, okay? Although it is using simple math on this chart, breaking down your fixed and variable costs can sometimes be very time consuming. Fixed is much easier than variable to calculate, right? Rent, salaries, things like that stay constant, very easy. But variable costs, things such as electricity and other wages, there's so many different variables that go into cost of materials is a big one. It's a large one. It might be expensive one month and then decrease the next and so on and so forth. So wherever marginal cost is equal to or less than, okay, marginal revenue, then you are operating at your highest profitable level, okay, which does take time to get to. All right, so this will be 20, so I think it's down here about 10 more oil changes. It'll be, again, equal to or less than 20, all right, as close as you can get. If you can make something for $19 more, okay, and still get $20 out of it, should you make that product? Yes, of course, okay, that's revenue. All right, that's going to be equal to higher profitable level. And if you look at your reviews and you go down the line and you've done all the math, I believe it is on number 9. Anybody do the math on there?
I did.
If you go down to it's actually number 8, okay, you can see that $18 is your marginal cost. And again, I'm doing 8 oil changes here, so I've made my way down. I know that not everything is on the chart here, but I have made my way down. I look at it has, again, a fixed 35. Variable costs are going to increase as output increases, okay? I'm gonna have to hire more people, more materials used, whatever it might be. So we have a $82, again, variable cost. Going across marginal revenue is a constant. No matter how many oil changes I make, they are still going to be 20. Now, oil changes differ, so it's kind of it's okay to use that, but they do differentiate based on how much oil is used. Trucks are going to be used more than smaller vehicles and so on. So, again, it's just an example. And then it has a $43 profit, okay? And I guess I left out total revenue. 20 times 8 is going to be,
160.
okay? So we have $160. We minus out the total costs. Total costs in this one were 35 plus 82, which was 117, which was given to you. Okay, so now we have everything here. And this, again, shows that the highest profit that you'll make per hour, okay, is $43. So this would be the owner. This isn't just, this would be you've already taken out your costs. You've already taken out your variable costs, your fixed costs. So this is what's left over for you, and $43 an hour doesn't sound that bad, okay? All right, so as a business owner, you would want to grow this, again, to try to, again, don't outweigh your total revenue or marginal revenue, okay, with marginal cost. But if you can do, now going on to 9, I believe your marginal revenue, marginal cost actually jumps to $25, okay? So on a, I guess if you were going to do a graph, you would, again, it would be more of a, something like that, and then it would actually go into the negative. Okay, so when you guys are studying these things, marginal cost will increase, then it'll decrease, and then it'll actually outweigh its marginal revenue. Okay, so you don't wanna ever, again, exceed marginal revenue with marginal cost.